Yes, thank you very much. I hope that I can see my slides and with all this technology and it will be working. And yeah, so here I'm today. I'm going to talk about implementation of BIM in Rail Baltica project. I'll briefly explain maybe how and what, and then show hopefully some details of what exactly and how we are doing. So let's see if the technology works. It does. Great. So yeah, very briefly about myself. I'm Raitis Bušmanis, head of virtual design and construction department in RB Rail, who is the coordinator of the whole project. I'm since January 2018, and before that gained some knowledge in Trimble solutions and also working locally with different BIM tools all around. So I'm going to talk a little bit, as I said already, about the development of Rail Baltica project, what it is, where we are. Then, of course, focusing on the digitalization. And then I'm going to talk about some first results that we have received and also first acknowledgements. And I just want to tell you that we are in the beginning of our journey, but I will explain that in the next slides. So development of Rail Baltica project. So for those who don't know or are not familiar with this project, it is a high-speed railway project spanning from Tallinn, which is in north of Estonia, to down to south to Polish and Lithuanian border. Altogether, it's something around 870 kilometers. And our estimate is that here you see on the screen for passenger and for cargo flows, but also the rough estimate about or the deadline of the project, it should go live and operational by 2026. So here are a little bit more details. We have split the whole design sections or in smaller pieces, or what we call them design sections. So currently we have 9 of them. So 3 in Estonia, 4 in Latvia, and currently 2 in Lithuania, but there will be 2 more in Lithuania in the upcoming years. And there's a vast amount of bridges, structures, different kind of infrastructure objects, as well as 7 international stations, along with multimodal terminals and other infrastructure facilities that are required for the operations of the railway line. And this is not the Baltics or one Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania project. This is a whole Europe's project. We have many different companies from all around Europe participating. Currently, as I said, mainly we are in the design phase, and the constructions phase has in some places already. There are places where some certain objects are being already already in the construction phase. Very soon, we hope to begin also construction works in Riga Central Station, as well as the mainline construction will follow very soon after that. So about the digitalization or why, what, and how we are trying to implement and do. So we started our BIM journey, as I like to call it, back in before I even joined. So it was end of 2017 when we started with our framework. Then followed the strategy. So we set out the rules, how and what we want to implement. Then we procured the software for client needs, what we need. That includes a common data environment. That includes also some other tools which we need for verification of and reviewing of the design, because we are the client, we are the public client. There are different other contractors and designers, and they are working for us, and we have to all stick it together. So for that reason, we need all kinds of also software technologies, also GIS, which is very important, and I will touch that topic later. And just to highlight that, I would say that we are currently somewhere here. So the design is ongoing, the design of mainline is ongoing, the design of stations and other facilities is ongoing, and very soon we'll enter the construction stage. So we are preparing, I would say. And the preparation and everything is actually tended towards the operations and maintenance. So that is our goal, and this is what we are trying to focus on. The design is good, the construction is great, but the target is operations and maintenance. And this is where we go with our strategy, because the maintenance of the assets, maintenance of facilities, operating the railway, and etc., that is something that we are looking into in the future. But when we developed our documents and our strategy, we put it basically public. It's public information. It's available on our website. Anyone can go and download it. And this was also something that we had tried to engage the market so that they would understand that, okay, this strategy and these BIM workflows are coming for this project. So be prepared, embrace yourself, and be ready. About the common data environment, I don't know, unfortunately, Slovakian language, but from what I understood from the previous speaker is that basically we are building this common data environment, it is not just one solution. There are different modules, if you call it that way, for this solution. And for different purposes, we use different softwares, and the goal is to get it integrated. And this is where we are currently starting to develop our plans and starting to look into these directions, because each and every software, they are good at certain stuff or certain things to do, but in order to put it all together, we are starting to think about the integration possibilities and how to make them, how to reduce maybe in the future this manual work, which is taking on daily basis a lot of workload actually. And one of them is what we are currently we're looking into, this drawing model and data management solution which we have in place, and then we have GIS solution in place, and how to merge that, how to get the best of both worlds out of it. And this is our target, because we see that working in silos, it takes a lot of time, and there's a possibility of big risk of losing information. When I talk about the results, I just want to tell that our design, if we speak about the design, is that we have site investigations, value engineering, master design, and detailed technical design, or talking into BIM BIM language, it's LOD 200, 300, and 400. This is very approximate number, and this is not detailed and specific number for that, because there are bits and pieces here and there. But this is sort of the target number, so that everyone would be on the same page of what we are trying to achieve in each of the design stage. And now this is just an example what you see about site investigations data, and this is something that the designer has to do according to contract, according to the technical specification, is to use these LiDAR scans as additional source of information in order to get as accurate input data as possible when they do the design. One thing I didn't mention is that we have the privilege maybe of being the project which is greenfield project, so we are building new infrastructure. In some places, of course, we have interface with the existing railway infrastructure, and of course also with different other networks, such as, of course, utilities, road networks, and etc. But in majority of the we have the privilege of building a greenfield project. But that is why the input data is very important also, so that it would be possible. For example, there will be a lot of earthworks, and in order to get a very accurate, or as accurate as possible, earthwork calculations and volume calculations, this kind of a solution helps us and helps the designer actually to obtain and use it for volume calculations, and in order to get a better estimates about the amounts and the volumes. And this is another case of combining the best of different worlds. So this is about geotechnical information, and geotechnical information, when we do the investigations on the site and we gather this information, so we want it all to put together. And this is where the merging between GIS and BIM in our case also starts, that we put the GIS data the BIM data, if we call it, the BIM data in GIS. So we have the best of both worlds. And now we are looking into even further exploring this, how to even more advance and how to make this even better. And GIS data, representing it in different aspects, like getting information about the boreholes done and what is the progress from the designer. Now, this is not like a direct thing that the designer goes to field or geotechnical team goes to field and they just fill in directly, but they submit their reports and we put those reports into the system, and thus the project manager can follow up the progress overall, what is happening in his design section, which I mentioned before, 9 design sections. So what is happening in each of the design sections and how to reuse the data. So I think the most important part, or to take it, is reusage of the data, of the information. This is the goal, not the 3D model, not the quantities and so on separately. We can't look at those elements separately. It's about reusing the information. And if the information is structured and it's unified in the same way, then we can reuse it in different platforms, different solutions, and so on and so on. So unification of information is I think is the key, which we are trying to achieve. I'm not saying that we are fully there, no, but we are trying to go that way, that we classify, we categorize the information so that it's delivered and compacted in the same manner. It doesn't matter what kind of a designer it is, it doesn't matter what kind of a company it is, but they all follow the same rules. Here's another example, like a federated model with different disciplines, with the LiDAR scans inside. And to reuse, again, information reusage to create a visualization, for example. And the visualizations are great. They are nice, pretty pictures for the stakeholder engagement, for the municipalities, for the public to be used to communicate with the public what will be done and how it will be done. But this comes from the BIM models, from the information that we have gathered throughout the design process. And here's another example of reusing different solutions for the same information. So there is Navisworks model, which is like a work model. There is a visualization on the top bottom left, sorry, and on the bottom right there's a GIS interpretation, not the interpretation, but actually taking the same data, putting it into GIS and unifying it all together. And this is our ultimate goal, that we want to reuse the same information in many places as possible. This is just, I put it here because we can reuse the information again. So we have like a regional stations and we have those guidelines, for example. What we have also is the sort of like a reference model, if you like to call it, that we can give to the designers to use in their projects. So it's not complete design structural or full design model, but it's at least a reference that they can use, that they can follow, and they can again reuse this information in order to comply with our requirements. But of course, it's nice pictures and everything, but behind the scenes there's a lot of work actually to achieve this, because as I said, I see that the information is the key, and to get there and using different tools, using different methods, and to unify that all together, it takes a lot of effort. There is a lot of workflows because the maturity of different softwares, design authoring tools is very different, and we have allowed our designers to choose the best appropriate tool which they want, as long as they can comply or they can deliver the information to them in the formats and in the scheme that we need and we want. This is one example. Here's another example how the design model becomes a BIM model, and actually this information which comes together with the model, the graphical information together with the non-graphical information, this is what creates the BIM model, and these workflows which goes through how to get there. Just an example, how does it look like in our models, that this data is structured about the elements, and And here's another example. Due to security reasons, I had to remove some kind of some sort of information there. But you can get the sense of where we are going and what kind of model examples we get. And just to conclude my presentation, as the time is ticking, literally, time is ticking in my ears. There are certain things that every party involved in the process needs to follow. There has to be clear requirements. There has to be some kind of a progress report and progress checking from the client side. It's not enough that the client just says, I want BIM, and then everything will happen magically. No, there has to be engagement from both sides, and everybody must learn, because the technology is developing, and you have to demand the result. If you are a client, you have to understand what is happening. You have to understand why you need it. You have to understand what is the purpose of the information you are collecting, and that is the reason why you have to be engaged. You need to have a strong team behind it to do that. Certainly the amount of flexibility, and also following the big picture, as I said, and understanding what is there. And the last two things is that BIM is not alone. BIM is just a buzzword that has been used and reused very, very many times in the last couple of years, but there are many different solutions that goes together with that. And GIS, as I said in my presentation, I think it's a very important thing to think and to look at. And this is not an easy process. It's a learning curve for everyone. And with that, I want to thank you very, very much for the attention. And yes, thank you.